The Phillip Show, brought to you by Tidy House. Please special guests, Hollywood fashion designer Edith Head and the talented, incomparable Hildegarde. And now, here's Lee.
Edith Head has received 7 Academy Awards for her outstanding fashion creations. You'll meet Edith Head and lovely singing star, recording artist, and author Hildegarde. We'd like to talk to you about fabrics. And isn't it interesting how many different combinations of fabrics we find today? Like nylon and spandex under things, and maybe a dacron and cotton slip like this one. Or a silk blouse, where they can all be machine washed with special care, and they can all be bleached with Tidy House Dexol bleach. Tidy House Dexol, the only kind of bleach that lets you safely bleach fabrics you never dared bleach before. And Tidy House formulated Dexol for just that purpose. Women like you who have used Dexol bleach on modern special care fabrics they never dared bleach before, tell us Tidy House Dexol is the one kind of bleach that's safe for all washable fabrics. Well, every modern home needs 2 bleaches, a chlorine bleach for heavy-duty jobs and Tidy House Dexol bleach for special care jobs. Dexol bleach, another fine product from Tidy House. Edith Head is top designer for Paramount Pictures. She's here today with the incomparable Hildegarde, lovely lady of song. And we must say that you're both very fashionable ladies.
Well, we're both interested in fashion, except I make it and Hildegarde wears it.
Well, Hildegarde, fashion is an important part of your work, isn't it?
It surely is. Some people just come to see me, not for my songs, but to see what I wear. The reason why I've established this image is because quite a few years ago I was 3 times chosen as the best-dressed woman in my field. Yes. And so that is quite difficult to live up to. And I came here with 400 pounds of luggage.
I read about that.
And it's just clothes and different accessories and clothes for every weather and about 18 evening gowns. And they do weigh.
Of course they do.
I have one gown, almost like that dusty pink one, and it has so much underneath that it at least weighs 25 pounds to wear.
Well, Edith, when you travel, do you take a lot of luggage?
I take 2 suits. One for day and one for evening.
Oh, you lucky gal.
Yes, but don't forget, I have another point of view. I'm a professional woman, and I should look professional. You're a glamorous woman, and you have to look glamorous.
And it's expensive. Of course it is.
Well, Edith, how do you feel a woman should dress? For her occupation, for her way of life?
Well, I think every woman has a dual life. You see, I think everybody works. A housewife, a girl who drives a motor car, an actress, a girl who washes dishes. And when she's at her work, then she should wear the uniform that is correct for her work. Then when she's off her job, then I think go as glamorous as you can. Don't you think so?
I do, too. I think that women today are not, they don't even scratch the surface. They could be much more beautiful and much more glamorous. I stress that in my book. 2, 3.
You must be glamorous, must be feminine.
That's right. I think it lifts your morale, too. Do you know, if you don't sit straight and have your chin up and have the best, do the best you can with yourself, you have a tendency of being depressed and a little sloppy and slovenly. Don't you think so, Edith?
I think clothes are the greatest medicine in the world.
Absolutely. They always say that about a hat, but
yes,
it's also about
buy everything.
Right. Buy everything if you can afford it.
Edith, you've done something new at Paramount, a new type of film that is really based on fashion in a way.
Well, you know, my theory is that fashion is wonderful for women, but sometimes it frightens men a little bit.
Yes.
So in this new picture, and by the way, it's called A New Kind of Love, and my theory is if you want a new kind of love, wear the right kind of clothes. And in the picture, I have a double fashion show on the screen, split screen. Mm-hmm. One side of the screen shows clothes that will appeal to women, and on the other side, the same dress, but translated into what I think will appeal to men. I hope I've guessed right.
Well, Edith, you brought 2 young stars with you. Would you present them?
Yes, I'd like to. The first of them is Patricia Olsen, who plays in the picture A New Kind of Love. Mm-hmm. She's modeling a dress of Joanne Woodward's, and the story is if you wear pale pink hyacinth satin and sable, you're sure to get your man. And in the picture, she does. You see, she wears this dress, she meets Paul Newman, they get married, and they live happily ever after.
Does she meet you in Paris?
Yes,
is that right?
just because she had this dress on is my theory.
Oh, beautiful. And you have the jewelry matching the dress.
You notice even the pearls and the diamonds are dyed hyacinth pink. If you're going to be feminine, be good and feminine.
You're right.
And if you're going to be pink, be good and pink.
All the way.
All the way.
My favorite color, please.
And then you have another young star.
Yes, I have another star who works in the picture whose name is Christian Kay. Now, Christian can't show you the costume underneath this because I won't let her. Because it's a surprise. Now, in the picture, she wears the only solid pearl bikini in the world. And there are thousands and thousands and thousands of pearls. But I think you ought to leave something for a surprise. So I've asked Chris not to show it. But underneath this is the remains of about 200,000 oysters.
All those little oysters.
You may show them the neckline, Chris. Quickly. Just the neckline. This is just about 800 pearls you're seeing.
800 pearls.
This is, by the way, one of the fashions for the men.
Uh-huh. Well, Edith, I noticed that the skirt length is short. How do you feel about that? And Hildegarde, we'd like your opinion, too.
After Miss Head.
Well, mine is purely clinical. If you have pretty legs, you can show them up to the knee. I don't think skirts should ever be above the knee unless you're playing tennis.
Right.
And if you haven't pretty legs, the worse the legs, lower the skirts.
I'm exactly in your corner, too. I've always said that. Personally, I think it's sort of mid-cap is ladylike and nice. If
Well,
you
it's
want
the
to be
safest.
It's safest, yes.
You know, we have a motto in the studio, if it isn't pretty, don't show it.
I know it. I said it in my book. Again, I refer to this book, forgive me. But it is true. Some women wear sleeveless dresses when they have flab. I cannot understand that. Why do they want to show their defects? They should cover
them up.
Because women have blind spots. Most women do not look in the mirror and see themselves as other people see
You're
them.
so right, and that's what they should do. I just don't, I get real adamant on them. Ooh, I get real mad at these women that could improve themselves if they only just studied themselves a bit.
Perhaps we'll solve some problems today.
Maybe we will.
Edith and Hildegarde will give you a chance to talk a little bit.
Wonderful.
And I'll be right back. Say, did you know this? You can bake the fanciest, best-tasting holiday pies in town and reduce their calories. Well, you can with Sweet 10, Pillsbury's no-calorie food sweetener, because Sweet 10 gives you the delicious sweet taste of sugar with no calories and no bitter aftertaste. We use it just the same way you use sugar for cooking or baking. And every one of these pies was made with Sweet 10. Well, now, let's take this pumpkin pie, for example. The filling is tasty and sweet, and each slice has 134 less calories than pumpkin pie made with sugar. Well, you'll find the recipe for this pumpkin pie and many recipes in Pillsbury's new recipe booklet, full of both plain and fancy food ideas that you make with Sweet 10. To get your recipe book, send your name and address with 10 cents to Sweet 10, Box 860, Minneapolis, Minnesota. That's Box 860, Minneapolis, Minnesota. Our guests are Edith Head, outstanding fashion designer for Paramount, lovely singing star and recording artist Hildegarde. And we were talking earlier about what women should and shouldn't wear. Edith, do you have some sort of rules along that line?
Well, Hildegarde and I were talking about glamour, and I think that glamour is one thing. But I think everybody in the world can't be glamorous because they don't look glamorous, and sometimes there's a budget problem. And I think that nowadays, with the great flexibility in fashion, there's no excuse in not looking well dressed. Do you realize 100 years ago, you would have had to wear a hoop skirt and you'd probably been shot for going out in the street?
Yes, it's true.
There was no other silhouette. And even, maybe less than that, there was one silhouette and you wore it. Nowadays, there are short skirts and long skirts and high waist and medium waist and long waist. There's full skirt. In other words, there is such flexibility in fashion, and there is so much manufactured in all price ranges, that there really is no excuse for a woman not being well dressed. The only thing I think women need is more time. I think people don't spend enough time in buying clothes and accessorizing them. What do you think?
What if you didn't have good taste? Hildegarde, did you always know what to buy? Did you always know what to wear?
No, I did not. I only learned this in the last 15 years, I'd say. But it's true, women do not take enough time nor have enough time. It is too bad, really. In my case, I just make the time. You see, there's a mind over whatever you...
Well, if you didn't have good taste, now what would you do? If you didn't really
then
know
I would
what
ask somebody like a Miss Head, or in my case, I had a very elegant friend who guided me and advised me. I knew there was something wrong. Then you look at the daily papers, look at the lovely sketches, the magazines. There is no excuse anymore for a badly dressed woman. Really, Lee?
And so it doesn't cost any more
No.
to be well-dressed
Not at
as overdressed.
It has to start up here and the desire. And then you have to have discipline. And it's
Which
just
is
a
very
matter
hard.
of... It's hard, but if a woman wants to look good, she jolly well can.
Well, now, let's ask your advice. You said ask someone that knows. Edith, how should a woman dress? What would you...
Well, a woman, first of all, has to find out what she is. She's fat or short or thin or tall or young or old. Everybody doesn't look like my little stars. So in other words, you analyze yourself, and if you have the courage to be critical and cruel, you can say, I am A, B, C, or D.
Right.
You classify yourself, and then if you don't have anybody with whom to consult, you look in magazines, because every magazine, every newspaper says, this is for the stout woman, this is for the petite woman. Fashion isn't that complicated. I just think that women are more interested in reading recipes for apple pie than they are for...
well, that's important, too. They have to please the family as well as themselves.
But she should come first and think of herself first.
Well, now, if you had one thing to buy, what would you do? Go out and buy a little black dress or a little suit? What would you buy?
I get bored with black.
You'd buy a long pair of gloves.
Well, of course,
And a
gloves
hanky.
and a hanky. But I think a solid color, but it doesn't have to be black. It can be brown. It can be navy. It can be taupe. I think the black era is finished, don't you? Just for once in a while, maybe a lovely evening gown.
Well, I don't think the little basic black exists anymore except in people's minds. There's the basic, whatever is your basic color.
Yes.
If you're the girl who looks good in, say, navy, then the basic navy is your color.
Right.
And if you are basic pink, wear a basic pink dress.
That's right.
But then a solid color dress, and then maybe dress it up and down.
That is what I think. And a very stunning hat, very shishy and crazy and mad, like Hedda. Oh, no, not like Hedda, God forbid. But something mad that people say, oh, what a lovely hat. Where did you get it? I think
Now,
a hat
can
is the
every
first thing you
woman
see.
wear a mad hat, though?
No.
If you have, is that right, Edith?
Well,
What do
I
you
think this. I think it's, of course, you know, I like to cook for everything in the world. I say that you buy a potato and you put different kinds of gravy on it. I think that what you do, you buy one good basic dress and cheer it up with different accessories,
Right.
different
Isn't
hats,
that wonderful?
and different jewelry.
She likens the dress to a potato.
Well, it's basic.
It is basic. It's so maybe you have a tailored hat and a lovely flowered or flouncy hat.
That is right.
You see, everybody can't afford 17 dresses, but everybody can afford one dress and enough accessories at the the present price ranges
Yes.
to have things for different times of day.
And different jewels or different gloves and bags and shoes. That's true. I don't think a woman has to be dowdy anymore. And when she gets 50 and over, she can still be nifty.
And the young ones.
Yes.
And the young ones,
Over
too.
50 and still nifty is my motto.
Thank you so much, Hildegarde, for being our guest. Edith Head, thank you
Wonderful.
very much.
Love to talk about
Thank you. I
fashion.
love being with you, Lee.
I hope you already know that Tidy House Super Borax is a real improvement over any other borax because only Super Borax contains hexachlorophene, and hexachlorophene fights germs and odor-causing bacteria. Say, did you know that Super Borax can be used in so many different ways? For example, add Super Borax to the water when you sprinkle your clothes, and the ironing won't smell of mildew, even if it stands for a while. And use Super Borax to deodorize garbage pails and trash cans. For thanks to hexachlorophene, Super Borax fights germs and odor-causing bacteria. You can even clean and deodorize your mops and brushes by soaking them in detergent plus Super Borax. No matter what other cleaning products you have in your home still needs the added protection that it gets only from Super Borax with hexachlorophene. Super Borax from Tidy House. Tidy House, the Pillsbury Company's home care center, where people work hard to make your housework easier. You know that all over the country there are many more domestic animals than there are families to take care of them. So that in different parts of the area there are animal shelters. And this little fellow came by to visit us today. His name is Trinket. He's part terrier and he's only 4 months old. So if you'd like to have a dog or a cat or a bird at your house, you might stop by and visit the animal shelter and perhaps look them over. We'll be looking for you. Have a nice day. Bye.
The Lee Phillip Show is brought to you each day by Tidy House. Be sure to see The Lee Phillip Show Monday through Friday on the CBS television network.